If you have been rejected, it is possible that the person who has rejected you has a good reason for doing so. It's probably more than likely that they have a good reason, in their head at least, even if they were verbally abusive in their approach, or abrasive or harsh. I have just been in contact with someone who has not spoken to me for probably about 6 months, or I don't know, yeah, over 6 months. They wanted money from me, and then out of the blue, they wanted more money, about like $5,000. And I basically said that I'm not in a position to give that. And the difference between where I was back then and the difference where I am now is that back then, I used to just sort of give out love from the bottom of my heart, but I neglected my own well-being. Now, if I had to give out money, it would be like I would be taking care of myself first before helping other people, if this makes sense. I make sure my own airplane mask is on first before I help other people. So, in a sense, avoidant people, I don't really believe that avoidant attachment styles and anxious attachment styles are fixed. I don't believe that they are necessarily outright true. They are a surface level base diagnosis, you could say. But beyond that, they're not really useful to you, because these attachment styles, this is what you draw out of people. It's a reaction to who you are. Now, I have shifted myself from being somewhat anxious to becoming, you could say, a little bit more avoidant. Now, there's no drama between me and this friend of mine, but if you had to look at me at a surface level glance, you could say I'm a little bit more avoidant. I'm saying no more readily. And there is reasoning behind an avoidant approach. There is logic to be found here. When I detach from things, when I don't give a fuck about things, when I just say no to things and I stop giving my attention and energy to things that no longer matter, you could say on the surface, I'm an avoidant all of a sudden. But I'm not really an avoidant. I've just changed priorities. Instead of wanting a deep and fulfilling relationship, etc., I'm actually putting that on the back burner and saying, you know what, I'm more interested in having, like a surface level friendship and stuff like this. And the reason for this is because you could say, well, the more you care about something, the more likely you're actually going to be getting hurt, in a sense. The more you want something, the less likely you're going to get it. And so the only way to actually get what you want, really, is to kind of not really want it in the first place. And you just kind of focus on the steps to get there, in a sense, even if the steps seem very counterintuitive. So if you want to learn how to drive a car and you want your driver's license, and I know this extremely well, the people who want their license the most are the people who don't perform the best. They are failing their tests more easily, they make more mistakes. But the people who don't care about the license that much, they just know it will come to them. Instead, they focus on becoming the best driver. They just focus on the moment. They know down the track it's a long time, but they don't really pay attention to it too much. They just focus on what they can do now. And they enjoy what they're doing now. They know where they're at. And if you just focus on this, eventually the outcome will come to you. You'll get your driver's license. You will become a stable driver, a competent driver down the track, per se. And to me, this is exactly the same when it comes to bringing about a relationship. So if you had to look at attachment styles, which I don't personally think is a real thing, it's just a surface level blanket diagnosis, there is so much validity in a so-called avoidance standpoint. They're not these evil people that the internet makes them out to be. Let's not be misguided by what the internet says. Whatever the internet says generally is just the blind leading the blind, And a lot of it's also BS, usually trying to get you to buy something to distract you. And there's nothing wrong with getting you to buy something or grab your attention, but it's often not in your favor, perhaps not even applicable to you, to be honest. And so this is where I come in, where I try to be the plumber who fixes your overflowing toilet, where I can help you resolve this painful problem of not being in a relationship or figuring out what's going on with the other party. Perhaps we lack empathy and you just need someone to help you figure out what's going on in their head. And I can help you a little bit with that. I can help you what's going on in their head. And that's the thing. This person, if you think they're distant from you, you think that maybe you have more distasteful thoughts about this person, there's a lot going on there. And the person who you think is distasteful or you're just not sure about, they have good reasons in their head, at least, as to why they do the things that they do, why they haven't chosen you yet, things like this, of this nature. In a previous video I made, I spoke about 2 reasons as to why a girl would be having promiscuous sex and behaving hypersexually. The first reason could be that she is trying to distance herself emotionally away from you, and that's valid. And another one could be because she doesn't know how to control her own emotional state, and so she'd rather just feel lusted over in the moment, even if it means harming herself in the sense, because that's what promiscuous sex does. It actually does harm a girl mentally, not so much a man, but definitely for a woman. Pornography, though, would definitely harm a man more. So those are 2 legitimate reasons as to why a woman might be carrying out those actions, right? But there's also maybe a third reason, and there's always a lot more reasons than one, actually. The third reason is that's the behavior you draw out in her. How interesting is that? Have you ever thought about that for a moment? Like, that is the behavior we draw out in her, or we elicit in her. Maybe elicit isn't the right word, but definitely draw out. That's the response that we draw out. Because if we were able to draw out some other response, like if we're able to draw out this negative response, it's definitely possible to draw out the opposite response. I don't 100% know what that looks like exactly just yet, but I know it's 100% possible. And I definitely know it's a lot more possible if you definitely become more like the person who you're actually thinking about. You become more distanced yourself. You become more, not cold per se, but you become more like you don't really give a fuck so much about the relationship anymore. You know, you sort of become the so-called avoidant yourself in a sense. Because these people who are so-called avoidant, you might start to see why they do the things that they do. Maybe you do enjoy your own peace. Maybe you do like to take a step back. Things like this.